Look, you crazy mother.
Put these on.
Hey! Stay away from me!
I'm telling you, you dumb son of a...
Some movies quietly change everything. You watch them once, maybe even forget about them, but then years later you start noticing something strange. The same ideas, visuals, and kind of characters showing up again and again and again in completely different films. But they didn't start there. They started much earlier, in movies that most people either ignored, misunderstood, or never even watched. And some were box office failures, some were ahead of their time, and some were overshadowed by bigger hits that came after them and took all the credit. So, what if the movies that you think changed cinema were actually inspired by something else? Today, we're getting into 8 films that secretly influenced everything that came after them. And if you enjoyed this content, make sure that you like the video and subscribe to the channel, because it's the best way to show your support. Number 1. Dark City. Released in 1998 and directed by Alex Proyas, Dark City holds secrets that change everything that came after it. Upon first glance, it seemed like just another dark thriller, introducing concepts about memory, control, and the nature of reality. Rufus Sewell plays John Murdoch, a man with no memory who wakes up accused of murders he can't recall. But there's something sinister about it all. It never sees daylight, and at midnight everything changes. Buildings move, streets change, and it's all controlled by mysterious beings called the Strangers. The movie combined the style of film noir with a dramatic look of German expressionism, and the world of the movie was dark and full of shadows. The buildings had sharp angles, mysterious people and scary views made the city feel strange. It was familiar, but it wasn't normal. Everything seemed like it was off, like reality had been broken, which created a feeling of danger and tension. The visual masterpiece cost $27 million to make, but only earned about $14.3 at the box office, disappearing before most people even saw it. Yet years later, it became a cult classic, with fans discovering that it had far more to offer than just its complex story. What some people don't know is that Dark City had a direct connection to The Matrix. The movie that redefined a generation of sci-fi was actually filmed on the same sets as Dark City. Production designer Patrick Tatopoulos had constructed the cityscapes from scratch on a single soundstage in Australia, and when the Wachowskis arrived to shoot, they then reused and expanded upon the sets. Not only that, but before filming began, they were shown Dark City. It wasn't the sets or similar greenish tones that made Dark City important, though. The movie introduced a new way to tell stories in science fiction. It made people ask deep questions, like if our memories shape who we are, and it made viewers question what's actually real. Even famous directors like Christopher Nolan said that Dark City inspired their work, including his movie Inception in 2010.
Confused, aren't you? Frightened. That's all right. I can help you. Who is this? I am a doctor. Now you must listen to me. You have lost your memory.
The idea of a constructed reality, which was so popular in the late 90s, was highly influenced by Dark City, inspiring a lot of filmmakers and changed how people thought about identity and control in a world that could be manipulated. Even critic Roger Ebert saw the impact immediately, calling it the best film of 1998, and recorded 2 separate audio commentaries that praised its artistry and storytelling. While it may have been a box office flop, the influence is now impossible to ignore. Number 2. The Thing. Directed by John Carpenter and starring Kurt Russell as R.J. MacReady, the sci-fi horror classic from 1982 is known for its tension and amazing special effects. It takes place in a remote Antarctic research station where a team of scientists is hunted by a shape-shifting alien that can mimic any living thing. This creates both fear and distrust amongst them as they fight to survive. The cast also includes Keith David as Childs and Wilford Brimley as Dr. Blair. It's a highly influential film that changed how horror and sci-fi are made, and the suspense is terrifying because nobody knows who to trust. When it was released, it made $19.6 million, barely covering its $15 million budget. It faced competition from bigger movies like E.T. and Poltergeist and was not well received. John Carpenter would later admit that it was hated, even by sci-fi fans, but over time, what they rejected back then became a classic. Quentin Tarantino even called it the greatest horror movie ever made. The special effects set a new gold standard for horror films. Rob Bottin, who was only 26 at the time, created the film's realistic creatures using practical effects instead of CGI. These effects brought the aliens' transformation to life and made them feel disturbingly real. Bottin used everything from rubber and mechanics to jam and mayonnaise in order to create the monsters, and his work was so intense he ended up hospitalized for exhaustion. These effects would shock the viewers and inspire future directors like Guillermo del Toro. The movie also created a brand new kind of horror, focusing on paranoia and psychological dread rather than the simple jump scare. The theme of an enemy within became a staple of horror after The Thing. The movie captured the feeling of being completely alone in a harsh and empty environment, ending with a mysterious and unresolved finish. MacReady was the perfect anti-hero, imperfect, skeptical, and only focused on staying alive. It would change how movies showed their main characters, and the dark ending, where the characters don't even know if they truly succeeded, changed how the stories end.
Fuck you too!
The cultural impact became massive, inspiring the Duffer Brothers for Stranger Things and even appearing as a VHS tape in the show's first season. Quentin Tarantino borrowed its themes of isolation, paranoia, and even used the same music for The Hateful Eight. Video games like Among Us, which is all about not knowing who to trust, are based on The Thing's central theme, and the game Dead Space and the comics and prequels and sequels have all carried its legacy. Number 3. Escape from New York. Directed by John Carpenter, the story of Escape from New York takes place in a frightening future version of 1997, where Manhattan's been turned into a giant prison. After a rise in crime, the government sealed the island off, leaving criminals to survive on their own inside of its dangerous walls. And when the president's plane crashes into the city, Snake Plissken is sent on a mission to save him within 24 hours. Snake is played by Kurt Russell, a tough, rebellious anti-hero with a cool attitude and an eye patch to match. The cast also includes Brain, a crafty former accomplice played by Harry Dean Stanton, Maggie, a brave survivor portrayed by Adrienne Barbeau, and the Duke of New York, an intimidating villain brought to life by Isaac Hayes.
It seems like come out now. They're protected by the courts. 15 minutes before the last hour's up, we can neutralize the charge with...
The movie opened in theaters to over $25 million worldwide on just a $6 million budget and turned a profit, but nobody realized how important it would become. The story was John Carpenter's response to the Watergate scandal. He imagined a future where America's corruption was so bad, Manhattan would be abandoned and turned into a massive prison. It has a government driven by control, fear, and political survival. Snake Plissken doesn't care about saving the system, and he doesn't pretend to like it. Even the president's not a noble leader, he's just a hostage. Snake's nature created a new kind of anti-hero, and after that, action heroes didn't have to care about saving the world. This rough and dark view of the future created a brand new style. The movie's shadowy and dirty look inspired the design of Blade Runner, cyberpunk worlds, and even stories about post-apocalyptic times. The idea of a city as a prisoner also influenced video games like Batman Arkham City. Even though it was filmed in East St. Louis instead of New York, the movie made the falling apart world seem to be real. Maggie! It still holds its place as a cult classic today, with its punk energy and distrust of authority capturing the frustration of the time. Writers like William Gibson have openly credited the movie as an influence on his seminal cyberpunk novel Neuromancer, and Hideo Kojima modeled his Metal Gear character Solid Snake after Plissken. The rock and roll vision of dystopia continues to inspire games, movies, and comics today. Number 4. Akira. Directed by Katsuhiro Otoma, this Japanese animated film takes place in a dystopian version of Neo-Tokyo in the year 2019. The story centers around the leader of a biker gang and his friend Tetsuo. After a motorcycle accident, Tetsuo is subjected to a mysterious government experiment that gives him uncontrollable and destructive telekinetic powers. It leads to chaos as his abilities threaten to destroy the entire city of Neo-Tokyo, which had already been rebuilt after World War III. Known for its stunning hand-drawn animation, it's based on Otomo's 1982 manga of the same name. When it was first released in Japan in July of 1988, it became a massive hit, but gained attention over time. When it came to the United States in 1989 and the UK in 91, the release was small with almost no promotion. But it gets even more crazy. In 1987, Steven Spielberg and George Lucas had the chance to bring it to Western audiences, and both declined, thinking that Western viewers wouldn't enjoy it. They couldn't have been more wrong.
Fire!
The film would go on to influence movies and inspire entire waves of global creativity. The creators of The Matrix credit it as a direct influence. The unique animation style would help to develop the iconic bullet time effects. Stranger Things borrowed ideas like secret government experiments and telekinetic powers, while other works from Looper to Chronicle and even Kanye West's Stronger music video all point to Akira as its key inspiration. For gamers, Cyberpunk 2077 lets you create the iconic motorcycle from the film. The movie also transformed how people saw animation. Before then, Western animation was all about Disney stories, but Akira shattered that image, showing that animation could be violent, deep, and visually groundbreaking. Without Akira, we may not have Ghost in the Shell, Cowboy Bebop, or Neon Genesis Evangelion. It even drove anime to global popularity, proving that it could be for adults. Neo Tokyo became the standard for cyberpunk worlds, exploring themes like corrupt leadership and rebellious youth, and also tackled the effects of rapid technological change. One scene shocked a lot of people. A sign in the movie counts down to the 2020 Tokyo Olympics, and some graffitied it with "Just cancel it." Fast forward to 2020, and the real Olympics were delayed due to the pandemic. Number 5. Metropolis. Directed by Fritz Lang, it's one of the earliest examples of sci-fi on the big screen. Set in a dystopian city in 2026, it tells the story of a world divided. The wealthy elites live carefree amongst others in big houses, while workers toil away underground running the machines that power it all. Then there's Frieder, the privileged son of a rich ruler, and Maria, a prophet for the workers. Together they fight to bring harmony between the two worlds. The movie sums it all up with an unforgettable quote: "The mediator between the head and the hands must be the heart." The influence of Metropolis became massive. The towering city, split between the rich and poor, became the blueprint for films like Blade Runner, The Fifth Element, and Batman's Gotham City. Its futuristic design and themes of industrialization show how deeply it changed the way that filmmakers imagine dystopian worlds. It even features a female robot created by a mad scientist and would be the first humanoid robot that was brought to life on the screen. That would go on to inspire countless designs from Star Wars to Battlestar Galactica. The technological ideas in Metropolis still feel real today. Lang imagined a world with artificial intelligence, video surveillance, and machines replacing human jobs, and it shows how bad things can get when technology and power belong only to a few of the rich. Even though the film came out almost 100 years ago, its message about machines replacing people is still important. Visually, it's hard to believe how advanced it was for its time. To create the massive city and its world, special effects were put into place that made miniature models appear lifelike on screen. This effect would later be used by legendary directors like Alfred Hitchcock. Production would take over 17 months and cost over 5 million Reichsmarks, and almost bankrupted Germany's UFA studio. At the time, critics like H.G. Wells called it the silliest film in the New York Times, but history has proved him wrong. Today, it's praised around the world with a 97% rating on Rotten Tomatoes and has been added to the National Film Registry in the Library of Congress, considered to be one of the greatest films of all time by the British Film Institute. Lang set the story of Metropolis in the year 2026, and here we are. It's the year he predicted. The vision of extreme wealth gaps, AI taking over, and the working class being treated as nothing but fuel for the elite is not science fiction anymore. It's become reality, and Lang created a roadmap for every dystopian city and sci-fi story that came after. Number 6. The Last Starfighter. Here we have a cult classic film about a teenager named Alex Rogan who lives in a trailer park. After he breaks the high score on an arcade game, he learns that it was actually a test designed to recruit starship pilots for an alien defense force, and soon he's transported across the galaxy to join the fight. Alongside his alien navigator Grig, Alex has to use his skills to protect the galaxy from destruction. The movie features Lance Guest as Alex, Catherine Mary Stewart as his girlfriend Maggie, and Robert Preston in his final on-screen role as Centauri, the recruiter who changes Alex's life forever. At the time, it made $28.7 million at the box office, more than its $15 million budget, but was not a huge hit. Even though it didn't start a big franchise, it did something quite special. It was one of the first films to use computer-generated imagery to create a space battle, ships, and amazing worlds. A Cray XMP supercomputer was put into place, making up over 25 minutes of special effects, and it was a big deal back then. The film's influence does not stop at technology. It introduced a unique storytelling idea that became a long-lasting trope. The concept of a gamer whose skills turn out to have real-world importance. The story of Alex inspired other stories and ideas. A book called Ender's Game, written in 1985, and the movie version in 2013 took a lot from the idea. Ernie Klein, who wrote Ready Player One, even said that the movie had influenced him. Another book that he wrote, Armada, was clearly inspired by the idea. The Gunstar spaceship from the film was another outstanding innovation. Fully created with 3D computer graphics, it was one of the first digital designs of its kind. It also spotlighted how gaming could be more than a hobby and treated arcade gaming as a form of training long before games were used for military simulation or referenced in pop culture films like Pixels.
Alex, in space? Is this for real?
Yes, that's what I'm trying to tell you.
It wasn't a massive hit when released, but it did become a beloved cult classic, and over time expanded into Marvel Comics, a novelization, a board game, and even fan-made video games. Number 7. Blade Runner. Directed by Ridley Scott, Blade Runner takes place in a dystopian 2019 Los Angeles, following the story of Rick Deckard, played by Harrison Ford, a retired cop called a Blade Runner. His job is to hunt down synthetic humans or replicants who are engineered to look and act like real people. Led by Roy Batty, played by Rutger Hauer, these replicants challenge what it means to be alive. The movie is based on Philip K. Dick's 1968 novel, Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep? The movie brought in a new style called the used future look, mixing high-tech gadgets with a world that felt old and broken. Full of neon lights and constant rain, the creative style changed how future cities are shown in films, influencing many of them, and Blade Runner's rainy, crowded city streets became a key part of the cyberpunk genre. Mixing 1940s detective film noir with sci-fi, it explored deep ideas about humanity, artificial intelligence, and corporate power, and turned sci-fi into serious storytelling far beyond a space adventure. The questions that it asks about the soul and identity resonate now more than ever, especially with the rise of modern artificial intelligence. The atmosphere becomes another masterpiece. Vangelis composed a haunting electronic synth score that makes every scene feel otherworldly. Though critics were divided, its impact could not be denied. It earned $32.6 million at the box office, barely breaking the $30 million budget, and critics like Roger Ebert gave it 3 stars. William Gibson, the creator of the term cyberspace, feared that it would overshadow his own work on Neuromancer, and when he saw the movie, he admitted its first few minutes were beyond anything he could have imagined. Today it stands out as one of the greatest films of all time. Number 8. They Live. Directed by John Carpenter, the cult classic stars Rowdy Roddy Piper as Nada, a drifter who finds sunglasses that change how he sees reality. When he puts them on, he discovers a shocking truth. The ruling class is not human. They're skull-faced aliens who control humanity through hidden subliminal messages everywhere. Words like obey, consume, and submit are plastered across signs and ads, but only visible with the glasses he wears. They Live is a sharp critique of consumerism and society in the 1980s, especially during the Reagan era. Through its plot, Carpenter aimed to show how big corporations, media, and power structures all manipulate people. Nada's discovery leads to the rebellion when he realizes a lot of the social elite and enforcers like the police are not even human. They're just part of an alien conspiracy to suppress humanity. The film dives into themes like class division, obedience, and hidden control, all wrapped up in thrilling action and suspense.
You're okay. This one, real fucking ugly.
Though it had a small budget of $3 to $4 million, it grossed around $13 million at the domestic box office, but critics didn't like it very much when it first came out. They called it crude and trash, and the New York Times even said it was doubly disappointing. The movie stayed in the top 10 for only 2 weeks, but the real success was not about ticket sales. Over the years, its influence has grown way beyond its original release, and today, it's considered one of the most talked about films in popular culture. Street artist Shepard Fairey, known for the infamous Obama Hope poster, credited They Live as his biggest inspiration. His visual style, especially the obey imagery, came directly from the film's hidden billboards. The one-word obey has since been recreated in memes, protest art, and political commentary all over the world, and even the sunglasses that reveal truths have become a long-lasting symbol in pop culture.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass.
One of its most memorable scenes is the long alley fight where Nada tries to make his friend Frank, played by Keith David, put the glasses on. He wants Frank to see the truth, and the fight shows how hard it is to change someone's mind when they don't want to listen. John Carpenter also hired people from Skid Row to act in the film, and it connected the film to real struggles. Years later, the movie still matters and is often referenced in both art and culture. Now be sure to smash that like button if you enjoyed the video, and don't forget to subscribe so that you know every time we upload another video like this one. Got any recommendations? Leave them in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.